She surfaced only once, just long enough for the crowd to see her face, pale and motionless, clenched in the jaws of the orca she had trusted for a decade. The cheers had stopped by then. A child screamed. Someone dropped their phone into the water. Trainers pounded the deck, shouting her name. But Kate dove again, pulling Jessica under in one final deliberate roll. There was blood in the water, swirling like smoke, and as the pool went still, you could hear it just barely. The recall alarm still ringing, unanswered. The same sound she had trained Kate to obey, now echoing without meaning. If you were there, standing in that silence, would you believe what just happened? If this moment stayed with you, if it left something unsettled, stay close. And if someone else needs to hear it too, share the story before it fades. Jessica Radcliffe had arrived at Oceanland Park before sunrise, as she always did. The San Diego sky was a dull gray when she pulled into the staff lot, steam from her coffee swirling in the coastal chill. By mid-morning, that fog would burn away, revealing a postcard-perfect California day sunlight bouncing off the bleachers, the scent of salt and sunscreen thick in the air. But now, at 6:12 a.m., the only sounds were gulls screeching overhead and the rhythmic hum of the filtration system churning beneath the pool deck. She walked the perimeter of the main show pool alone. Wetsuit rolled halfway down her torso, her dive belt clipped at her hip. Her hair was pulled into a tight braid, damp at the ends. This was her ritual silence before the noise, stillness before the spectacle. She crouched near the edge of the platform and tapped her palm against the surface once, twice. Kate surfaced slowly, the water parting around her massive frame. The orca's rostrum broke the stillness first, then her eyes, black and unreadable. Jessica exhaled softly. "Morning, girl." Kate blinked. A soft whistle escaped her blowhole, a sound Jessica knew well. She smiled and reached out, fingers grazing the slick edge of the orca's head. Even after 9 years, the sensation still struck her smooth, cold skin over the force of something ancient. She had trained Kate from adolescence, built trust in layers every cue, every dive, every silence earned over time. By 10:00 a.m., the park buzzed to life. Tourists filed through the turnstiles. Loudspeakers played pre-show announcements. The sun burned down over Ocean Pulse Arena, throwing long shadows across the metal seats. In the control booth, Ryan, the new junior tech, adjusted the volume on the PA system and cued the afternoon set. Jessica checked the lineup, tight-lipped as always, and gave the team her usual nod. Everything was in place. During rehearsal, Kate was flawless. Tail slaps, spy hops, aerial breaches, each move executed with precision. Jessica rode on her back during the finale pass, hair flying, posture perfect. The crew clapped from the sidelines. Guests, already arriving early, leaned forward in anticipation. Cameras clicked. Applause bled through the glass dividers. Back in the holding pool, Kate floated motionless while Jessica gave her final checks. The water was clear, chemically perfect, no debris, no foreign scent. But when Jessica leaned down again, Kate didn't respond to the cue. She floated higher, eyes above the waterline, and stared straight at her trainer. No sound, no movement, just stillness. Jessica frowned. "Kate," she called again, softer this time. The orca blinked once, then slipped back beneath the surface with barely a ripple. The 2:30 p.m. show was already running 5 minutes behind. A VIP tour group had arrived late, and park management wanted them seated before Jessica began the first cue. She waited behind the sliding gate, one hand resting on the cool steel, the other adjusting her earpiece. From the control room, the stage manager's voice buzzed, "All clear, roll music." As the gate lifted and the first track of Ocean Pulse filled the air, Jessica stepped forward into the blazing San Diego sun. Her shadows stretched long across the concrete. The crowd clapped instinctively. Kids waved foam orca toys. Jessica scanned the bleachers without smiling, then looked down into the water. Kate surfaced right on cue. She breached high, twisting midair, and landed with a thunderous slap that drenched the first 3 rows in a shimmering wall of spray. Cheers erupted. Jessica wiped a few drops from her face and gave the next signal a low sweeping arm that sent Kate into a graceful barrel roll. Each movement felt fluid, precise, almost rehearsed to the point of boredom. And yet, from the edge of the deck, Jessica felt something else: restraint. Backstage earlier that morning, Kate had refused a standard medical role. Instead of offering her side for inspection, she had hovered low, her clicks dull, irregular. Jessica had coaxed her for over 2 minutes before the Orca finally turned. "She's just grumpy," Jessica told the intern. "Happens when the crowds get heavier." But even now, under the afternoon glare, the unease returned. Midway through the show, after a flawless tandem spin, Jessica reached down and tapped the surface, twice an old cue, one Kate had responded to without hesitation for years. Nothing. The Orca drifted a few feet away, then hovered. Still, Jessica called her name, voice firmer this time. "Kate." The Orca blinked, then circled once. Not the wide, relaxed loops of rest, but a tight, deliberate coil that brought her dangerously close to the trainer platform. The surface tension of the water felt heavier now, like glass ready to break. Jessica kept her posture steady, her hands still. Internally, her heart ticked faster, her mouth was dry. She forced a breath and reset the routine. The audience didn't notice the pause. The music filled the gap. "Just tired," she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. But she didn't believe it, not fully. The sun hadn't yet burned through the morning haze when Jessica stepped onto the damp concrete of the trainer platform. The surface was slick with ocean mist. She adjusted the strap on her wetsuit and glanced out toward the main pool. The stadium was empty, just the sound of gulls and the soft, mechanical groan of the filtration system. The air smelled like salt and chlorine, heavy and familiar. Today was a triple show day, and warm-up routines had to be tight. Jessica gave the first hand cue from the platform, expecting Kate to surface at the usual distance. Instead, the Orca breached hard from an unexpected angle, closer, faster, and with a sharp twist that sent a wave crashing against the edge of the deck. Jessica's boots skidded slightly as she caught herself against the railing. Her heart jumped. From the tech pit, Ryan's voice echoed across the empty seats. That wasn't normal. Jessica didn't turn. "It's fine, just energy. She's reading me." But even as she said it, her breath hitched. Later that session, during tactile drills, Kate refused to hold a station. Instead of floating parallel to the deck, she dove and came up behind the training buoy. Jessica barely had time to blink before the Orca lunged forward, seized the buoy in her jaws, and bit it clean in half. The cracking sound echoed across the empty arena like a rifle shot. Rubber fragments floated on the surface. Jessica crouched to retrieve the pieces, her movements precise but slower now. Her jaw clenched. Kate drifted nearby, watching. No vocalizations, no signs of agitation, just stillness like a predator between bursts. Backstage, Ryan found her near the equipment lockers. He was holding the damaged buoy, his knuckles pale. "Jess, maybe we skip the noon set. Just give her space." Jessica kept unpacking, voice low. "It's a full crowd. VIP section sold out. We don't cancel for nerves." Ryan hesitated, but yesterday she didn't respond. And just now, that wasn't miscommunication. That was something else. Jessica paused, her fingers hovering over a laminated cue card. "She'll settle," she repeated, quieter this time. But her voice lacked the certainty it once carried. Ryan didn't press. He just stepped back, eyes still locked on her. "Okay, outside." The music from the park's entry plaza started to rise. The day had officially begun. Jessica zipped up the top of her wetsuit and took a slow breath. She didn't notice Kate's surface again this time, behind her closer than usual. The Orca didn't make a sound, just floated there, unmoving, watching. The trainer break room was always too cold, sterile air pumping through the vents, the faint smell of bleach and damp neoprene clinging to the floor. Jessica sat on the edge of the bench, pulling her gloves tight. The hum of a vending machine filled the silence as she reviewed the cue sequence for Ocean Pulse, her thumb tapping a slow rhythm against the laminated plastic. Ryan stepped in from the hallway, holding a clipboard. He hesitated in the doorway, watching her. "You know about 2016, right?" he asked, voice low. Jessica didn't look up. "What about it?" Kate pulled a trainer under, during a dive hold. Didn't let go for 20 seconds. Jessica's eyes lifted. "It's not in the official reports," Ryan added quickly, "but one of the night staff told me, said it was hushed up. Inconclusive behavior was the phrasing." Jessica exhaled through her nose, then stood. "That was before my time. Before Kate was transferred to me. She hasn't shown that behavior since." Ryan nodded but didn't speak. She zipped her wetsuit and walked past him. She had heard about it 2 months after taking Kate on, a whisper from a former handler, shared during a late cleaning shift. "She's not predictable. She's just patient." Jessica had let the words settle for a while, but eventually buried them beneath routine, progress, trust. Kate had never hurt her, not once. Now, on the morning of October 6th, the final show of the season loomed. Tickets were oversold, local media outlets were expected to cover it, and Kate was already in the holding pool, pacing slowly, her dorsal fin tracing a silent arc through the water. Jessica stood above her, arms folded against the breeze, watching. She tried to shake the unease, but it clung to her skin like salt. Kate's pectoral fins were flared wide, alert, her head occasionally tilted toward the glass. There was no vocalizing, no playful bubbles, just motion, measured and quiet. Inside the trainer booth, the lights dimmed. Crowd noise filtered in excited chatter, camera clicks, children laughing. The atmosphere outside was festive, but inside, everything felt muted. Jessica stepped onto the platform. Her boots clacked against the wet surface. She gave the final signal with a raised arm. The gate lifted slowly. Kate slid forward into the sunlight. The moment her eyes cleared the water, they locked onto Jessica, unblinking, dark, unreadable. Her body remained low in the water, but her head angled upward, nostrils flaring once, sharply. Jessica froze for half a beat. Not enough for the crowd to notice, but just long enough for Ryan, standing behind the glass, to whisper under his breath, barely audible through the comms. Why is she looking at Jess like that? The stadium lights shimmered across the surface of the show pool, casting waves of gold and silver beneath the late afternoon sun. From her platform above the water, Jessica took a steadying breath. The cheers of more than 3,000 guests swelled behind her families, packed shoulder to shoulder, kids on their parents' laps, phones lifted like a forest of arms, capturing the moment. The music reached its final build. Jessica raised her right arm high, that motion graceful, practiced. Second nature was the signal Kate had followed every show for nearly 10 years. It meant dive deep, then lift, a signature finale. Kate would breach beneath her trainer, launch her skyward in a perfect arc, and Jessica would land gently on the Orca's back, riding through the mist like a silhouette in motion. Kate dipped beneath the surface. Jessica's eyes scanned the glinting water. She waited. A second passed, then 2. Then the water broke. Kate erupted with staggering speed, but not beneath Jessica's feet. Her massive rostrum struck Jessica squarely in the lower back, lifting her off the platform like a rag doll. She soared, arms flailing, gasping midair before crashing into the pool with a sickening slap that echoed through the stadium. There was a brief hesitation from the crowd. Some clapped, mistaking it for choreography. Then they heard the scream. Jessica resurfaced, choking, eyes wide, but she barely had time to inhale before a dark shape surged below her. Kate's jaws clamped down on her torso, dragging her beneath the surface in a blur of white water and blood. The crowd screamed, parents stood, children cried. On the trainer deck, Ryan slammed the emergency recall button. A sharp, high-pitched tone vibrated through the water. "Kate, release another," trainer shouted, voice cracking. 2 more handlers beat the water with long poles, creating loud slaps meant to startle the Orca. Nothing worked. Below the surface, Jessica struggled. Her hands pounded Kate's head. She twisted her body to reach the release point just behind the jaw hinge, an emergency trigger cue. But Kate didn't loosen. Instead, she rolled once in a wide, slow spiral, pulling Jessica deeper with her, A cloud of red bloomed from where the wetsuit had torn her right side, leaking into the turquoise blue. Jessica's mind screamed, "Breathe." She couldn't. Her chest burned. Above, chaos ruled. Tourists ran. Phones shook as they filmed. Security began ushering people from the stands, but the platform remained frozen. Ryan shouting, a handler on the comms with 911, and Jessica still gone from view. Then she reappeared, barely. Her face broke the surface just long enough to cough once. Her eyes met Ryan's across the deck. Then Kate yanked her down again. And just before she vanished into the depths, Jessica saw it, Kate's eye, black and glossy and utterly still. There was no spark of recognition, no hesitation, no remorse, only instinct. The alarm pierced through the park like a scream underwater, shrill, unrelenting. Guests surged from the bleachers in panic, knocking over strollers and spilling drinks, their faces twisted in horror. The music had cut off mid-note, replaced by a distorted buzz that only amplified the confusion. Above the trainer deck, a red strobe began to flash, an emergency signal reserved for one thing: an active animal attack. Ryan's voice cracked through the comms. "She's not releasing. Jess is still under. Medics were already in wetsuits, sprinting." Radios buzzed on every frequency. One dove headfirst into the pool, while another prepared oxygen gear. But Jessica had been underwater for too long, and Kate wasn't surfacing. Seconds blurred. Then, the Orca appeared. She rose in near silence, her massive body gliding upward, water parting around her in a mirror-smooth arc. And there, locked in her jaws like a discarded doll, was Jessica, limp, hair-splayed, one arm dangling uselessly across the water's edge. The blood came next, thin lines that leaked from the torn wetsuit at her side, coiling into red wisps that disappeared into the pool drains. The crowd had mostly been evacuated, but the few still clinging to the rails gasped and shrieked as Kate slowly rotated, then dipped again, pulling Jessica beneath with her. "Don't go in yet," barked a senior handler, grabbing the arm of a junior diver. "Not until she lets go." She's still in predatory posture. The recall buzzer was still blaring, high-pitched, mechanical, desperate. Kate didn't respond. For 7 agonizing minutes, the pool was still. When Kate finally surfaced, she opened her jaws and Jessica's body drifted free, face up, eyes closed. Her chest did not rise. A single boot was gone, and the exposed skin on her shoulder was bruised deep purple. Her fingers were curled, as if still trying to grip something. 2 trainers dove immediately, flanking her body. They moved quickly but gently, cradling her head and neck, towing her toward the emergency lift platform. Water poured from her mouth as they hauled her out. Her body hit the deck with a lifeless thud. "Start compressions," a medic yelled, already on his knees. Another sealed her mouth with his own and began rescue breaths between the pumps. Blood seeped across the slick platform tiles, staining the souls of everyone kneeling near her. There was no response. In a locked staff meeting hours later, a behavior report was circulated, one not meant for the public. It detailed escalating concerns about Kate's routines, slower responses, increased isolation, avoidance of reinforcement cues. A behavior specialist had filed a risk alert 3 weeks earlier. The follow-up was marked low priority. Monitor postseason, another entry, buried deeper, referenced prior aggression during tactile sessions unresolved. The final line was underlined in red. This is not the first time. The gates of Oceanland stayed closed that morning. Metal chains looped through the turnstiles, and a paper sign flapped weakly in the ocean breeze. Closed for maintenance, but everyone knew. The lot was already full: news vans with open satellite dishes, journalists pacing beside camera tripods, their voices low and grave. The park's PR team issued a 2-sentence statement before retreating behind locked doors. By noon, headlines had taken over every screen. Jessica Radcliffe's name was everywhere. Tragedy at Oceanland. Veteran trainer killed during show. The whale she loved. Turned on her, the footage, though unofficial, had made its way online, grainy cell phone clips from the upper stands. One caught the moment Jessica was thrown into the air. Another showed blood fanning out like ink through the water. They spread fast, reshared by outrage and disbelief. Outside the front gates, a crowd began to gather. Flowers were taped to the metal fence. Handwritten notes fluttered beside framed photos. A child left a plush orca beneath the ticket booth. Someone lit candles in a shallow tray. The smell of wax mingled with the salt in the air. On the internet, arguments raged. She ignored the signs. Some said, "Trainers know the risk." Others lashed out at the park. How many warnings did they bury? How many deaths will it take before we drain these tanks? For good activist groups called for Kate's immediate release. Conservationists argued back. She wouldn't last a week in the open sea. That night, on a cable news panel, a marine biologist spoke softly, almost as if afraid of being heard. "This wasn't psychosis," he said. "This wasn't vengeance. It was instinct. It's always been there. We just choose to forget." And in the staff-only corridor behind the main exhibit tanks, Ryan sat alone in the dark. The surveillance room was cold. The screens cast pale blue light across his face. He had pulled the final rehearsal footage, silent, time-stamped, clinical. He watched it again, then again, slower each time. Kate's swim patterns, her glances, the way she circled, paused, watched Jessica on the deck tying her gear. He froze the frame at 13:42:08. Kate was still, just beneath the surface, her eye above waterline, fixed on Jessica, no trainer call, no hand cue, just watching. Ryan leaned forward and whispered, "To no one, she was warning us." By the time the October heat gave way to overcast skies, Oceanland had reopened quietly, without ceremony. The rides still ran, the snack carts still rolled across the pavement, but the main pool at the heart of the park stayed dry. Its surface, once alive with music and applause, now reflected only silence. No showtimes were posted. The seating was cordoned off with thick ropes, and on the edge of the trainer platform, a red sign hung beneath a security light. "No entry without protective cage. Level 3, restriction." Nobody went near the water anymore. Kate remained in the medical enclosure behind the scenes, far from guests and cameras. Her tank was smaller, colder. Her dorsal fin still breached the surface on schedule, the way it always had during feeding. But she didn't vocalize, didn't spin, didn't play. She floated, sometimes for hours. Trainers said she was still tracking movement eyes flicking when someone walked by, gaze lingering on hands, shoes, flashlights, watching, always watching. Jessica's locker was cleaned out the week after the memorial. No announcement, no gathering, just two colleagues, one empty duffel bag, and a long silence. Her wetsuit had been cut away in the emergency room. Her training lanyard was returned to HR. The inside of the locker door still held a taped photo, Jessica standing on Kate's back, water cascading around her, both looking up toward the stands. Across the bottom, in black marker, someone had written, "She trusted you." The internal review was swift. Meetings, statements, legal documents marked confidential. There would be no criminal charges, no firings, just procedural updates, new queue protocols, double safety override switches, enhanced recall tones. A new rule about trainers entering the water was added to the manual, but the water had already written its own rules. Ryan stopped returning to the tank after that. He transferred out of the Marine Division, then left the park entirely. Some said he blamed himself. Others said he couldn't look at the pool without hearing her name over the loudspeaker. Either way, he was gone. Jessica's memorial aired one final time at the end of the month. A 4-minute video set to soft piano music, clips of her laughing in the trainer bay, waving to the crowd, walking barefoot along the pool's edge. And then, her voice, pulled from an old interview. "You have to earn trust in this job. You never take it for granted." The screen faded to black. At the edge of the empty pool, the silence pressed heavier than ever. The lights stayed off. The water lay still. But somewhere in that stillness, the truth lingered, not in the policies, not in the sound bites, but in the eyes of a creature who had been caged too long. Wild animals are not pets. They are not toys, and they will never forget what they are. The bleachers are empty now. Just a breeze rustling through forgotten popcorn bags and a faint echo of the recall alarm, still looping in the quiet. The pool looks the same, clear, still, reflecting the gray sky, but no one goes near the edge. Her locker's been cleaned out, yet someone left the photo behind Jessica midair, smiling, arms outstretched above the water. No caption, just tape yellowing at the corners. Down in the medical tank, Kate floats near the surface, unmoving, her eye barely above the waterline. She doesn't blink, doesn't turn away, and maybe she never will. What do you see when you look into the eye of something you thought you understood? If this story left a mark, share it and let others decide for themselves what it means.